Hello friends, Angelo here again. Welcome to this amazing video about coming out. We're going to discover something really kind of crazy. If you ask me, we're going to discover that most of us are still closeted. Can you believe it? Even though you told everybody you're gay, even though you have had a lot of gay sex, it doesn't mean that you are out. In this video, I'm going to show you, prove to you, you're still closeted. Most gay men are still closeted. Very few gay men on planet Earth are fully out. And I'm going to prove it to you in this video. Many of you know I'm the founder of Big Gay Family Social Program, and the ideas I'm sharing with you right now come as a result of a lot of the discussions and conversation I have with clients. We go deep in our conversations to extract important ideas that then I communicate through these videos. And so today, you're going to learn something about coming out that came out of a conversation I had with a client. So I believe you're going to find this very, very, very useful. In previous videos, I made a few announcements about a series of podcasts called The Gay Reset. And I've decided to switch direction because those series of podcasts were philosophical kind of podcasts. And I've discovered that sometimes I have a tendency to go too deep and to go into philosophizing. And I know that that's not why you're here. You don't want to be watching a 40-minute video about the philosophy of gay existence. So we're going to switch. I'm going to produce shorter videos and we're going to get to the point. We're going to do micro coaching sessions in the future. I'm going to be sharing with you powerful techniques about coaching. So as opposed to going into philosophy and going deep into 40-minute videos, we're going to go a little shorter and we're going to go technical. We're going to get right to the point. So thank you to all of you who have been with me on this channel all these years. I apologize that sometimes I just go crazy and go deep into philosophy. I know most of you don't really care about that. So I'm going to turn things around and produce content and topics that you do care about, that are helpful for you, that are going to help you become the kind of gay man who always succeeds with relationships, who has a lot of dates, a lot of beautiful relationships, and on top of that, you feel wonderful about being gay. So I wanted to thank all of you who have been on this channel with me all these years, and I'm excited about the future direction. It's going to be a lot more exciting, very technical, a lot of coaching material so that you get empowered and strong today for this current reality that's all around us, this complexity, a lot of suffering about relationships and dating, a lot of hurt and betrayals and rejections and all of the bad stuff that all of us experience. We have to go technical into that and unpack it, understand it, and overcome it. That's what we're going to do together. So today, let's start with coming out. Why am I saying that all of us are closeted? We're going to use this diagram here to unpack all of this. We have two ways that we can live our lives. We can live our lives in a wholesome way, and that's here, where we are interacting with other gay men on multiple dimensions. And this is what you would call the normal way of being with other people. And this is what straight people have, but gay people don't have any of that. And that's why I'm suggesting that because we don't have any of that, we cannot be out. We simply cannot be fully out. All of us are still closeted because we're not interacting on all of these dimensions. We are only interacting on the sexual dimension. And this has been like this for the past 40 years, my friends, since 1980s. This is what's been the norm. Everything about sex. And we assume that this is how it is. And we are confused about why relationships are not working. Why our dating is not working. Why are people having strange attractions and fetishes? Well, that's what happens. So let's go back to this diagram. I'm going to hold it here for you. And let me go over this with you so you understand why this is so important, why this is so crucial for you to understand. So the first thing is that this is the psychology of every human being. So we have our bodies, you have a body, we have our sex that comes out of the body, right? The body wants sex. Then we have the mind. The mind is our ideas about the world. Imagine meeting people, interacting with them only through sex and without sharing ideas about the world. It's kind of crazy, right? Now, also we have emotions. I feel things. Sometimes I feel good things. Sometimes I feel depressed and anxious. Sometimes I have fear. And so do you. Most of us, when we live our lives, we go from one emotion to the next emotion. Sometimes we have dozens of emotions and our lives become very complex because of our emotional realities. There's depression, there's anxieties, fear, there's the anxieties from loneliness. So we have emotions. And some of us, as we get older and older, we are more curious about the universe, about God or gods or spiritual beings out there, guardian angels, and whatever spiritual dimension you want to entertain, you have a choice to do that. As we get older, we seek that connection to something bigger than us. So this is what you would say, what we would call, this is the normal way of interacting with human beings. Now, let me ask you this. When you meet people today, what is their primary experience when you start conversations with them, when you interact with them, right? It's mostly about sex. And it doesn't matter where you go. This happens on all the hookup websites, but that's to be expected. You know, you go on Grindr, Scruff, Growler, Tinder, it's expected everybody's going to be looking for sex. But this is also happening like this on the, what we would call the legitimate platforms like Match.com, OkCupid, the dating platforms where you're supposed to start a conversation slightly differently if you really mean to meet people in a wholesome way, right? And now stay with me here because I'm going with this somewhere that may shock you. So what all of this means, if we are here all the time and everything is about sex, then what will happen? Are we going to be fully socialized, or are we going to be not fully socialized as human beings, right? We are not. We are not going to be properly socialized if 95% to 100% of our interactions are contained with this fragmented way of dating, fragmented way of interacting with other gay men. And this is what we have in our community, in the gay population. Everybody's interacting through this fragmented dimension of only one part of our psychology, which is the sex and the body. So when you interact with other people, how does it work? You share photos, you say, are you top and bottom, and you take it from there. Here, however, notice that there are three other places, three other dimensions. But why are they not part of the gay interactions? Why are we not curious about how you think about the world? Why are we not communicating, getting to know each other so that we discover how we feel? Why are we not curious about spirituality and how we grow on a spiritual level? So because all of these dimensions have not been part of our socialization, we are not fully out. We cannot be fully in touch with our gayness if we only tasted it, the gayness, from the sexual dimension and not from the mental, emotional, or spiritual dimension. Let's take this further. All of these dimensions have associations to images, fantasies, and pleasure sensations. So this is very, very easy to see with sex, right? When we are sexually aroused, what happens? Well, we go into the world of fantasy. We go into the world of images, into the world of situations that we visualize that turn us on. But you see, the same thing happens when we go into the world of intellect and sharing ideas. The same can happen with emotions and with the spirit. But in the gay world, it has never happened for most of us. You see, you can have a fantasy about an intellectual connection with a man that can be very arousing. You can have a fantasy about sharing beautiful emotional conversations with another gay man. That can also be very pleasurable. And you can have a lot of pleasure. You can have a lot of images, a lot of stories, a lot of internal representations of spiritual truths. And you can also share it with another gay man and be wholesomely connected to him that way. We associate pleasure only with one dimension, and that's sexuality. but there is pleasure to receive. There's pleasure to have. There is pleasure that's the outcome of the images and fantasies that are part of these other three dimensions: spirit, emotions, and the mind. And so why aren't we interacting in all of those forms? Here's what happens when we are putting everything into one basket of sexuality. We begin to compensate, because this is necessary to meet your needs as a human being. If you're not emotionally validated, you will never be sexually aroused with that person. And I give an example of a roommate many, many years ago when Craigslist was still going on. I hooked up with a man and we had great sex several times. And then I lived with him. We were roommates. And my attraction completely went away because he was not there for me emotionally. He could not understand me intellectually. We did not share anything spiritual in common. I immediately lost attraction. I never touched him. And we were roommates for 6 months. I could have had the craziest sex with him because he was such a beautiful man. But because it was only this, I lost my interest. So when we incorporate all of these dimensions into dating, that's when the transformation happens. But because we are so conditioned to only seek this actually will be very unnatural to some of you if you have been habituated to only look at each other through this sexual fragmented dimension. So this is why I say we're not really fully out. Nobody's out. We are still closeted. You can only be out if you've had 30, 40, 50 gay men with whom you've interacted on all of these dimensions. On the sexual and physical dimension, but also on an intellectual, emotional, and also spiritual. What would happen if that occurred? What you would notice is your sexual dimension would not be so much overpowering. You would not be prioritizing sexuality because you would have so many other choices. So what will happen? The range of partners would skyrocket. All of a sudden, as opposed to cornering yourself into your sexual fetishes or preferences, now you have 4 dimensions across which to receive pleasure, validation, and connection. And this is, my friends, why there is such an opportunity for all of you to have endless supply of love, friendships, and relationships. Endless. Endless, forever. If you are lacking love, if you are lacking friendships, it's because of this, my friends. Because we are interacting in one dimension. In that one dimension, the range of a connection is so limited. Most of the men we come across, they just come and they go. They come and go. And this is our experience for the majority of our lives. And it's so sad. It's so tragic because it doesn't have to be this way. It really doesn't. But the challenge is that all the dating platforms, all the hookup apps, obviously they're to be expected to be that way, but all of them force everybody into this dimension. Yes, everybody is forced in the gay population into this dimension. So I'm not surprised that we are all closeted. I'm not surprised we're all suffering because of lack of this. When we talk about a wholesome dating experience, a wholesome way of having friendships, we have to bring people here. And unfortunately, the Big Gay Family Social Program, based on my research, is the only place where this is the norm. In our program, those of you who don't know, for the first 30 days, we ask that people don't see each other. Why do you think I invented that? I invented that intentionally because everybody is so here and conditioned here so much that for them to go here, there has to be a bridge. We have to create a bridge from all of the habituation and conditioning about this into this. But that takes a lot of psychology, understanding of psychology, and I have a lot of training in psychology. And so I've built the Big Gay Family Social Program to give you that beautiful bridge into a wholesome dating experience. And that's why those of you who are part of Big Gay Family, you see how different it is and how effective it is and how many friendships and relationships are made that way. I'm going to share with you something that will blow your mind. You are 100% guaranteed to succeed with relationships when you do wholesome dating. 100%. There are no exceptions. There never will be exceptions. You're 100% guaranteed to have beautiful relationships when you date wholesomely. It's just a question of how many men you have to meet, how much practice you have to do to open up all of you to one another, to each other. And now there are no obstacles anymore. There are no rejections, ghosting, and all the bad things that you're experiencing. Wholesome dating is healthy, it is productive, and it's something that will never fail, because we as human beings, once we open up those cylinders, once you open up your heart, your mind, and your spirit, the body and the sex will follow. I know this is crazy, but this is what people in the Big Gay Family Social Program are experiencing. This is what you'll experience once you open up those dimensions, once you come out, okay? Once you come out fully. So here's the deal, my friends. Most of us, because we are so habituated into the one-dimensional sexual patterns of interacting, we have been conditioned into it. So all of your visualizations, we call them fantasies, all the sexual fantasies, all of the images about who gay men are, they are mirrored by sexuality. They are not mirrored by the intellect, the mind, and the emotions and the spirit. Do you see? So there's so much more that's available. So much more. That's why I say that based on what we now know about this, the future should be filled with love affairs and friendships for the rest of your life in the richest ways possible. The only thing you have to do, and it's very simple, the only thing you have to do is to date wholesomely. How crazy is this? And this is why I wanted to record this video, and this is why I am also switching our conversations to be more technical about psychology, about coming out, about the fundamentals, because I've realized that we all need a reminder. And this is one of the reminders today. There are 4 parts of us. The body, the sex, yes. And then we've got the intellect. We've got emotions and the spirit. And our pleasure experiences, our fantasies of each other can also be emotional. They can be intellectual. They can be spiritual, just like they have been sexual over the past 40 years, since the beginning of the modern gay culture. So this is, my friends, extraordinary, beautiful news that all of you, most of you, obviously not everybody is made for love, but those of you who are made for love, you will have it 100% guaranteed when you date wholesomely. So now it's a question of picking the place where you meet men so that this wholesome methodology is respected. And that's why I encourage everybody to come to the Big Gay Family Social Program, because we have that dating methodology ready to go for you. And now it's just a question of how many men you need to meet so that you open up like a flower. They get to know you across multiple dimensions. You get to know them across multiple dimensions. And now what remains is an extraordinary adventure of self-discovery, unlike anything you've ever witnessed in your life. Because the moment you open up all these other cylinders, you will discover there's so much more richness to being gay, so much more beauty, so much more of a community that you can be part of. All of this is available for all of us. So let's today celebrate this information. Let's celebrate the possibility of a rich and meaningful gay life. And that's what I'm inviting all of you to do. So please join us, visit the website biggayfamily.com, and let's start dating wholesomely. All of us. Let's have as much love and friendships as possible. So this is, my friends, the wonderful news I wanted to share with you. Please join us, visit the website biggayfamily.com, and begin your social transformation. And let's complete our coming out. Okay, my friends, thank you so much for listening. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the program. And please subscribe to my channel if you're new so that we learn together. There'll be so much more coming up soon. So please, let's stay on this journey of learning together. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.